So, hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Balls podcast. It's a special one, this one, because it's our pre-Crucible podcast, as we are just now, as we record, just a couple of days. We're on the day that the draw came out for the first round. And when this comes to you on Saturday, it'll be perfect timing because the biggies will start again. So with me tonight, I have my normal co-host. That's meant to sound goodly, but I'm obviously Michael, Wright 74, and in my top right is my co-host Lee.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's good to be here again. We've got 3 returning friends of the show tonight, so it's going to be a great chat. Looking forward to it.
So it's like Marvel Assembles, really, or Avengers Assemble. I think that's what it's like, isn't it? So we're bringing back, for anybody who's been with us since the start, really, or the early days, we did this around August time, just on the eve of the season, and we talked about what we might expect to see. It'd be interesting to see how you guys feel the season's gone against expectations. But what we'll do is we're going to talk a bit about the qualifiers. We'll talk about the world champs and particularly the kind of draw that came out today. And just to get your reflections really on how you think things have gone, what you think of the players that you've seen and any of the action, and obviously the biggest thing really that hits the game every year, and we're just about to start. It's a really exciting time. So I'm going to introduce. I've got 2 Brians again, and if you don't know the story, please go back to the episode from August and you'll know the story. But first of all, I'll bring in superstar Brian. So Brian, would you like to say hi?
Hi everyone, I'm Brian Dobson. As you just said, Michael, I was on the Christmas quiz episode and also the Superfans episode earlier last year, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's my favourite 17 days of the year, so I'm looking forward to talking about this.
Brilliant, thanks, Brian. Superstar Brian there. So, and let's go to another Brian, front row Brian. If you can see on YouTube, you'll see the commentary 6 top. If not, well, I'm sorry, but it's a nice fetching blue and white pinstripe number. Brian, would you like to say hi? Oh, sorry, you're on. This is a typical kind of Zoom thing, isn't it? Sorry, Brian, you're on mute.
Is that better?
Oh, there we go. Loud and clear.
Hi, everybody. Really looking forward to the show and obviously the most wonderful time of the year coming up on Saturday. And just, yeah, let's pick our runners and riders, and hopefully a bit like the Grand National, I might be able to get like 5th place or something. So.
Thanks a lot, Brian. And last and certainly not least, Kellie Barker. Hi, Kellie.
Hi guys, how are we all? Been looking forward to this, and yeah, looking forward to talking about the championship and then watching it. Like Brian said, best 17 days of the year.
Yeah, exciting times, really exciting times. Yeah, we had a great conversation. I remember back, it was a really good talk. It was well watched. It's one of our most popular episodes. And I think what we're looking to do is hopefully kind of check in really each week during the next few weeks, really, just on the Tuesday night, just to check in on what the action's been unfolding, any stories that we want to pick up on, just have a quick chat. And of course, if any of you guys want to jump in and have a chat with us, then we can do that. So let's just talk about the qualifiers then. I mean, Judgement Day, last 2 days, don't know how you felt about them. I think there's been some really exciting action and some interesting reactions to winning and losing. Anybody want to talk about Judgement Day and who's taking the eye in terms of some of the qualifiers? Who'd like to kick us off?
Oh, shall I go?
Go on, Kellie.
Go on then. Yeah, I thought both Judgement Days were tremendous, especially yesterday. And yeah, I thought Jackson Page going through. He's been one of my hopefuls all season, and so it's great to see him get to the Crucible at last. And yeah, Matthew Stevens and the way Hossein Vafayi did it as well. I mean, 10-9 on the black. It's just what the World Championship's all about, really, isn't it? And the longer matches, you wouldn't quite have had that drama if it was best of 11. So yeah, tremendous couple of days. Really enjoyed watching it.
You spoke about Jackson Page there, Kellie. He came through pretty much unscathed. you know, he had 2 6-1 wins, and then he beat Joe Perry 6-3, and then David Grace in the final qualifying 10-6. So it was quite impressive stuff from Jackson.
Absolutely, yeah. It's as good as I've seen him play, especially that sustained over a few matches. Looking forward to seeing what he can do at the Crucible. When the schedule came out and I saw what matches I've got the Barry Hawkins side on Saturday afternoon and not Ronnie. And I thought, oh, that's a little shame. But I'm really pleased now because I want to see Jackson in action.
Very good, very good.
Did either of the Brians, did you guys get to see any of the action, or just have any thoughts on what you've seen from the results?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I haven't managed to catch it all, but the standout ones for me, I think, were watching Jamie Clark's reaction with his black ball double, and one particular person who I'm a big fan of, and also I really do fancy his chances, is Tepchire New. I think he played very fluently, very consistently. I think he made sort of 3 or 4 centuries, and I actually fancy him to cause a bit of an upset in round 1. So for what I've seen so far, it's been good stuff.
Great, thanks, Brian. Superstar, Brian. I'll differentiate you guys. Front row, Brian. Brian, what do you think of what you've seen so far?
Unfortunately, I didn't get to see much of it. I've been working both evenings, Judgement Day, but I've seen the results, and I was so pleased for Matthew Stevens getting back to Crucible. Really lovely story that is, especially because I think at least one occasion he should have won it when he was heavily in front against Mark Williams, wasn't he? But yeah, great to see him back, and looking at draw today, just some really great matches to look forward to. Yeah, Dave Gilbert, I was really happy for him to come back to Crucible. Really nice guy, and obviously he's now a winner as well. It's nice to have so many winners, new winners over the season, all heading to the Crucible. So.
Yeah, exciting times, and you know, in terms of the players coming through, I mean, Lee, I don't know whether you've had the chance to see as well. Anyone stood out for you, or have you enjoyed any of the action?
Yeah, absolutely. I've not had a lot of chance, like the guys there, to watch a lot of it, but I've looked at the results as well. And it's another friend of the show, Michael. It's Liam Davis. I was really impressed with his performance. You know, he beat Aaron Hill 6-4. He had 127 break in the second frame, and of course, winning that match meant he was the youngest ever to win a match in the World Championship at 15 years old. So I thought that was really impressive. And then he went on to beat Fergal O'Brien 6-5, and he got beat by the other friend of the show, Jordan Brown 6-5. So he's had a fantastic run, and I watched a couple of frames here and there, and he's got so much composure. He's definitely one for the future.
Yeah, completely in agreement with that. I think he certainly doesn't look like a 15-year-old.
No,
he's got a lot of old head on young shoulders, I think.
He was actually really unlucky, wasn't he? If anyone saw it, the one with Jordan Brown, I mean, it really could have gone either way. I think the relief on Jordan's face at the end there, I don't think he could believe he got through. And he's so unassuming, isn't he, Liam? I mean, we talked to him for a little while, and it's actually quite it's quite difficult, because you do an interview like that, and I think what we realised after maybe 10 minutes was that I think he was probably in the room with his parents, just off camera, because you're thinking, this is a 15-year-old lad, you know.
Yeah,
he's not quite a child, but he's a young fella, really, isn't he? But he belied his age with those performances, and that's got to be exciting, isn't it, in the future?
Definitely.
Incredible snooker.
You've brought up there, Lee, and I'm interested in all of your thoughts on this. You brought up 2 talking points for me. One is amateurs in the World Championships. Mark Williams made a point of saying about that the other day, and a feeling that maybe amateurs shouldn't be almost taking, you know, the opportunities away from the pros on the tour. And the other one was just the wave of Welsh players in that first round draw. I mean, just a fantastic effort from a number of players. What about the amateur issue? Is that an issue, or is that just something that's been put out there for a bit of mischief? What do you think?
It's an issue with Sean Murphy.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, I think it's only an issue for some of the top players who feel they're a bit entitled, to be honest. As for the World Championship, I mean, even if 128 professionals enter it, they always have those 16 wild cards for the amateurs. So there's always 144 enter the World Championship. They always give cards out to, you know, some juniors and amateurs who've done well over the year. I don't see why it's an issue for them. And, you know, obviously people like Michael Wright, CJ, who's done well all season, James Cahill, they're amateurs only in name anyway. In reality, I think they're better players than some of the bottom end professionals, to be honest. And they've proven this week that, you know, Michael Wright he hasn't just got to the Crucible. I think he could well go a round or two if he plays his best. It's so good to see him back as well. I'm pleased. So pleased he'll be back on tour next season. But yeah, the Welsh as well. They're all going well, and I really like Michael White, Jackson Page, Jamie Jones. They're some of my favourite players anyway, not just Welsh. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them all at the Crucible, and Matthew Stevens back as well. So he played really well from, you know, 4-0 down against Ali Carter. He thoroughly deserved his win in the end, and it was good to see him play like that. You can tell he's really been putting some work in the build up to this. Good to see.
I think it's true what you say, Kelly. I think Welsh snooker's in a very good place at the moment. You've also got a young lad who I think deserves a mention. Who beat Mitchell Mann 6-0, and that was Dylan Emery, who has just recently got his 2-year tour card. Fantastic performance against Mitchell Mann, who's a fantastic player himself, and then got beat by Gao Yang in the next round 6-3. So another big prospect.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing Dylan's progress. He's had a few wild cards for events in the last year or so, and what I've seen of him, I think he's acquitted himself all right. So, you know, with proper time on the tour and, you know, get used to things, I think he's a player with a big future, and I think we'll see him at the Crucible one day.
Yeah, for sure.
I think so many Welsh players are qualified. I think they should all come in one car together. Then when they could all go home in the same car and reduce the footprint as well. So
yeah, share the petrol money.
Well, petrol is very expensive nowadays, isn't it? You know, it's very topical, Brian.
Get the minivan out.
Well, there's two of them playing in the first round, isn't there? Well, if I look down properly, there might even be more. But obviously, Michael White you just talked about, and he's got Mark Williams in the first round.
Yeah,
what a clash!
Really looking forward to that one. And yeah, I mean, I really like Michael White. He's one of my favourites of the younger ones who isn't quite so young anymore. And Mark Williams is one of my all-time favourites. So really looking forward to that one. You'd think Williams would edge it, but White, I think he's free rolling really now. He's done what he's set out to do. He's on the tour next season. The pressure's off. Just go and enjoy the Crucible.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Let's go through them and let's go through the draw line by line, really, and just get your thoughts on how you think it might go, your reaction when you saw it. So the first one, if we go in order here, as I've got it written down, would be Mark Selby and Jamie Jones. What do we think of that one then? So Selby's been in and out a bit lately, hasn't he, in terms of just how he's been involved, and obviously a lot going on off the table for him. And he's kind of against somebody in good form. How much does form going into the Crucible? How much does that make an impact, I suppose, is another question.
Yeah, for me, I think this is going to be a lot closer than people think. Selby's obviously had some off-the-table problems. And I think Jones is very much a Crucible player. He seems to save his game for the Crucible. You know, he reached the quarters, was it a couple of seasons ago, and I think this will be a close one. I think Selby will edge it, but I don't think it's going to be a lot in it. 10-7, 10-8, something like that.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, that's interesting. Kelly, you're about to come in, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with Brian. I don't really think I don't think form leading up to the Crucible always seems to be so important for who wins it. I think we've had some winners in recent times who they've not actually done that well leading up to it, and they've gone into it quite fresh. They've not had the long, hard season, and they feel okay, and then they can go to the Crucible and just hit form. Selby, you know, with his problems, I think it's hard to say. I've seen online that he's been practicing quite a lot at the, is it the ATAP club? So I think he'll be ready. I do think he'll win, like Brian says, probably 10-7-ish. But it wouldn't be the massivest shock ever if Jamie Jones did win, because, like Brian says, he's a Crucible player. Seems to thrive under them conditions. He's won a couple of matches before. And yeah, I think I'd go probably 10-7 to Selby.
Wow, I think that's similar, is it, Brian? You said 10-7. That was one of your options. 10-7.
Yeah, 10-7. Yeah.
Tell you what, I'm going to write these down, you know, because I want to come back and see how well you did. Front row, what do you reckon, Brian? Front row, Brian.
I think we're in for a real late night on the first Saturday. They're coming back. I can see it going all the way. 9-all, probably just touching past midnight, and then Selby sucking the life out of Jamie and winning, falling over the line, 10-9.
Wow.
Wow, so we've just called our first decider already on the first game. That's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, they only allow us 3 hours in the graduate. He'll finish that late. So.
Okay.
With the cost of living crisis, we can't afford to go out drinking every night, can we? So some long matches might be good for us.
Yeah, definitely, and bring our own as well.
But for me, Michael, I'm not going to buck the trend any. I'm going 10-7 as well for Mark Selby. Jamie Jones for me is a bit like Anthony McGill, as Kelly says. He brings his best out of the Crucible. So that'd be 10-7 for me, Selby.
Okay, I'm going to be the controversial one then. I think Selby's going to be much more convincing than you guys. And I'm the one who knows the least about what I'm talking about. So I'll stick my neck out and say 10-4. There you go, 10-4. Because it's what they say on, is it Convoy or something? What that thing, 10-4? Isn't that a thing they say?
10-4.
10-4. So there we go, 10-4. Selby. Okay, 10-4. Second one, Yang Mingtao and Chris Wakelin. What do we think to that one?
Another Crucible player in Yan. I think he's got the game to progress deep in the tournament. Yan, he's a tough player. He knows his safety. He's not just an all out and out potter. For me, I think Bingtao will win fairly convincingly. 10-3, somewhere along those lines. I can't see any other winner there, but Bingtao for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, did Wakelin? He should have beat Trump in the year Trump went on to beat him, lift the title. Was it? Did they play first round? And Wakelin lost 10-9.
I think that was the year before he won it.
Was it? Well,
yeah.
Like I say, he's played big matches at Crucible, and he's practice partner with Mark Selby, who he would potentially play in the next round if they both got through. So it'd be like sort of like a derby match between two friends. In saying that, I don't think he's going to win. I think he's going to lose 10-6. So Yang Mingtao 10-6.
Anybody going for Wakeling? Kelly, what do you reckon?
Well, I'm going to stick my neck out here. I think overall, Zhang Zingtong hasn't had the best of seasons and hasn't been convincing in recent events. And Wakeling is a bloody good player on his day. I've got a feeling it's going to be close. And I'm going to stick my neck out and say 10-8 Wakeling.
Wow.
I could be completely wrong, but I've said it now.
Well, for me, I really rate Chris Wakeling's game. I think he's a fantastic player. And it takes me back to that horrible night where he beat Stephen Hendry and he had 3 or 4 centuries and played fantastic. That's how good he is. And we've seen that pretty recently. But still, I think Yang Bingtao will be too strong. And I'm going 10-5.
Right, I like it. I like the mix there. Kelly's really mixed it up there. I don't know how many eyebrows went really high up when that was called, but who knows? I mean, you know, anything can happen, can't it? And you don't get to this stage without being a good player. For what it's worth, I put 10-5 as well. I put that down while you were talking. So me and Lee are in tune on that one. I think the next one is a really fascinating one. Barry Hawkins and Jackson Page. Any thoughts on that one?
I think Jackson, as Kelly said earlier, is terrific talent. I think he will thrive. I think he will enjoy it. I think he'll play well. But I think ultimately, again, Barry's such a crucible campaigner, and he's done so well there over the years that I think Hawkins will prove too strong in the end. I don't think it will be a walkover, but I think it will look. I think Hawkins will win 10-6.
Right, quite a firm belief there, Brian. Thanks very much. Any other takers? Any other takers? The Hawk and Action Jackson.
Before Brian spoke, I was going to say 10-6 as well to the Hawk, and I think I'm going to stick with that. I think Jackson will make a good account of himself for his debut. I think he'll enjoy it. But like Brian says, the Hawk is a crucible player. He's been in reasonable form lately, couple of finals this season, and I think it'll be relatively comfortable in the end.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Brian or Lee, what do you guys think?
Go on, Lee.
Yeah, for me, I'm the same, 10-6. 10-6 Barry Hawkins. I just think he'll be too strong. I think the level of experience he's got, I think that'll be too much for Jackson, but he'll do himself proud.
Okay, thank you. He's definitely going to do himself proud. That's come across. Front row, Brian, what do you reckon?
The Hawk is going to swoop down and he's just going to clear 10-4.
10-4, right, okay. I'm just going to show just how little I know, because again, I'm going against the grain on this. I've got 10-8 to Page, and I know it sounds crazy, but when we had him on earlier in the season, I'd looked at his stats the previous season, and he'd had so many close matches against some very good players. And I just thought he's that close to doing some really serious damage. And the way he's gone through the qualifiers, I just got a feeling for him. I just think he's got no fear. He's not going to be worried about reputation. I think he's got a really interesting chance in this one. I'll probably be wrong, but I've put 10-8. 10-8 to Jackson Page.
I hope you're right, because I'd love him to get through and do it. So I hope you're right.
Just a quick one. Barry's birthday always falls during the Crucible. St George's Day, 23rd, and he's always been in the tournament when his birthday comes along. So that's why my firm belief is he'll win the match, because he likes celebrating his birthday in Sheffield.
That's a good enough reason.
Stats don't lie.
The stats don't lie. You all know what you're talking about, and I don't. That's what we're proving here. But let's see. You never know, dear. The next one we've talked a little bit about already, but I think would be interesting to get your thoughts and push you to a result on this. So Mark Williams, Michael White. What do we think?
Well, I think Michael White is going to, continue the form that he's shown in the qualifiers. I think he'll be he will put up some strong resistance. But I think, you know, Mark Williams, being again the pedigree that he is, I think he'll come through. Now, I'm not much of a betting man, but I did have a look at the odds at the beginning of the tournament, and I've actually put a little flutter on Mark Williams to win it outright. And I got odds of 33-1 of Mark Williams winning it again, which I think is crazy.
Wow.
But I've decided to put my money where my mouth is and have a little flutter on that. But I think effectively, I think he's got too much ring craft as Mark Williams, and I think I can see him winning 10-5, 10-6.
Oh, which one, Brian? I'm going to push you now. 10-5 or 10-6?
10-6. 10-6.
10-6. Here we go. Right, and you've got more interest in this one, haven't you? So
yeah,
good luck with that. 33-1. That's amazing for a player of his with his record, isn't it?
Yeah.
Be worth another kind of naked interview, wouldn't it? Afterwards. Okay. Anybody else? Mark Williams, Michael White. A really interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to agree with Brian. I don't want to agree with him on all of them. I do think Mark will have a bit too much, but I think Michael will be really pleased and relaxed to be back there. I'll go 10-5 to Mark.
Right, very good. 10-5. So we've got a 10-6 and a 10-5. Any more for any more?
Yeah, all the kebab houses around Sheffield will be praying that Mark Williams stays in the tournament. And also, I'm going to have to bring a hell of a lot of minstrels and wine gums if he gets to the final. So I do see Mark Williams winning, but because of fellow countrymen and getting on, and I just think it'll be a bit closer. I think 10-7 to Mark Williams.
10-7, lovely. Thanks, front row, Brian. Lee, you can have the
for me. I went 10-7 as well for Mark Williams. I just think experience will win through, and as Brian said, he's got a lot of ring craft. He's a clever player, and so Mark Williams for me, 10-7.
Great, thank you very much. And I'm not so out of touch. I've got 10-7 Williams as well. Okay, so I think the next one we've just talked about, a really interesting one. I think the next one's fascinating. Kyron Wilson, Ding Junhui. Discuss.
Well, this is a fascinating tie, and I think this is going to be the first upset of the tournament. I think Ding will outperform Kyron. I thought Kyron hasn't had a great season. Seems to have lost a little bit of the belief that he maybe had, earlier in the season and last season. It would be great to see Ding do well. I think this is going to be a close affair, and I would think Ding to win 10-8.
Right. It almost feels weird to call that an upset in a way, doesn't it? But I suppose just the seeds against, then it will be. But yeah, 10-8 to Ding then. Thank you, Brian. Anybody else?
All could be a toss of a coin with Ding back in his best or better form. As Brian said, Kyron hasn't really been the Kyron we've known over the last few seasons, but he's still there. Kyron's a potential winner this year. He's that good, but he's got it to do in the first round, I think, against Ding. And there's tough section of the draw as well if he does get through. I think 10-9 either way. I'll go with Kyron 10-9.
So we've got a decider there, a deciding win for Kyron. So both people saying very close so far. Brian and Lee, what do you think, guys?
On you go, Brian.
I think it'll be a decent match. But I think Kyron, despite his form this season, I think, form is temporary, isn't it? Classic permanent. I think Kyron's going to win the match, and I think it's going to be, I'm going to say 10-6.
Yeah, and for me, you know, Ding is class. You know, he's a classy player. He's brilliant. He's done everything in the game, but I've always thought he's struggled at the Crucible, and I don't know if that's maybe a lot of pressure coming from back home or whatever, but he's never done great for me. You know, he should have been world champion by now. I know he's got to the final, but I think Kyron will be too strong for him, and I'm saying 10-8 Kyron Wilson.
10-8, and certainly when we've been talking to a number of players about who they think the next debut winner will be, Kyron's name seems to come up the most.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a surprise that and yeah, it's hard to discount him, isn't it? I've got him 10-9 as well. I'm with Kelly on that. I think it's a decider, that one. Okay, so the next one, an interesting one, Stuart Bingham, and apologies for how I say this, but Lou Haoshan, what do we think?
I think it's a difficult one to call this, but I think every year the Crucible produces, some upsets as well as a commanding performance, and I think Bingham is going to win this fairly comfortably, and I'm going to put Bingham down to win this 10 frames to 2. I think the occasion might be a bit much for Lou.
10-2. Wow, that's a belter. There you go. Wow.
I do think Stuart will win, but I think Lou Haoshan is a cracking young Chinese player. He's won a match at the Crucible before, and he played very well in the second round as well the year he got there, lost to Barry Hawkins. I think he shouldn't be taken lightly, and Bingham won't take him lightly. I think it'll be a lot closer, and I would go 10-7 to Stuart.
Okay, 10-7. Lovely. Brian Lee. You don't have to do it in order. It's up to you, chaps, if you want to.
Go on.
Go on, mix it up.
Okay. Well, I've also went for Stuart. I just think experience again, and against inexperience, and I went 10-5 Bingham, and I went with the seeds. I know there's a lot of upsets sometimes, but I went with the seeds, so I need to throw in an upset somewhere.
So was that 10-5 then, was it, Lee? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 10-5 Bingham.
Okay, 10-5 Bingham. Front row Brian, what do you think?
I don't think Stuart's got any more room for any more tattoos, so I don't think he's going to win it. But I do see him winning comfortably. 10-4. I think it's going to just roll over him, really.
Right. Okay. Quite unanimous then. So I've got 10-5. So yeah, we've all kind of called that one, haven't we? Really. But again, just never know, dear. So again, we'll continue through the draw, looking at where we're going. We're getting into the middle part. The next one is Anthony McGill and Liam Highfield. Let's start the other end. Let's
okay.
Let's start. Sorry, Brian. I'm going to keep your powder dry. So we'll start the other end and go with Lee.
Right. Okay. So McGill, Highfield. As I said before, I think McGill brings his best stuff to the Crucible. Liam Highfield's a fantastic player, but I've got McGill to the edge at 10-8.
Okay, 10-8. So 10-8 McGill. We've got. Let's go front row then this time. Let's go, Brian.
I would. I'd quite like to see Liam win this. I know we're doing predictions, but I'd quite like to see him win, because whenever Anthony McGill has played at Crucible, even though he's done well, he always looks like he's more angry than he is enjoying it. And I think if you can't enjoy the game at that level, I know you need to concentrate and you need to focus, but you also need to enjoy it. So if I could have who I'd like to win, I'll go Liam, but I think McGill will win the match, and I think he'll win it 10-7.
Okay, 10-7 McGill, so a 10-8, a 10-7. Kelly,
enjoy himself. Tell him.
Tell him to enjoy himself. Yeah, let's get the message out there. Play like you want to be there. Okay, fair enough. Message understood. Kelly, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going for the upset in this game. McGill is a Crucible player. He's always done pretty well there. But again, like nearly every season, he's practically done nothing all season. I think he got to a quarter-final in one of the recent events, which was his best all season. I'm going to somehow go Liam Highfield to win this one, though. I'm going to go 10-7. I think he played pretty well in his qualifier yesterday. He'll be match sharp. He's been there a couple of times already now and had the experience. I'm going to go, I think it'll be his third appearance. And yeah, I'm going to go third time lucky with a win, 10-7.
Right, good reasoning. 10-7 for Liam there. So we're splitting the panel a bit now. Superstar Brian, what do you think?
I'm pretty much with what Lee was saying on this one. I think, you know, Liam's a terrific player, but you know, Anthony seems to save the best for the Crucible. You know, he very narrowly missed out on being in the final back in 2020. He's a tenacious player. You know, he never gives in. He's suited to the longer distance, and I think ultimately he's going to have too much for Liam. So I'm going to go McGill 10-6.
Okay, and just in the interest of trying to balance it a little bit more, I've got it 10-8 for Highfield. I just think he's going to come in and cause a bit of a stir there. But let's see, shall we? Next one. This is an interesting one. I think a lot of people, after the comments earlier in the week from Hussein Vafai, were hoping he'd draw Ronnie, but he hasn't. But he has got Judd Trump. So that, again, if we're going to talk about mouth-watering clashes, Judd Trump against Hussein Vafai. Who'd like to start us with that one?
Shall I go?
Go on, go for Kelly.
I'm really looking forward to this game. It really could be tie the round. I think Hossein will absolutely love every minute of being there, and I can see him settling down and doing himself proud. Judd, as we know, hasn't had the best of times, but you know, he did win in Turkey recently, and I'm sure he has put all the work in and practice ready for this. I think it'll go close, and I'm going to go for 10-7 to Judd.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. So 10-7 for Judd. The first shout there for Trump and Vafai. Who'd like to come in with their prediction?
Okay, well, I think this one is going to be probably the tie of the first round. I can see this going all the way. I think it's going to go to a decider, and I'm going to call it and say Hussein's going to get in early, and he's going to win 10-9.
Wow. Wonder what odds you get on that one there, Brian. 10-9. Wow. Okay, anybody want to follow on from that?
Yeah, I hope Hussein's chair is really comfortable. He's going to be in it a lot. You know, I think it's going to be 10-3, Judd.
Wow.
I'll take your bet, Brian, as well. I'll lay it for you.
10-3, stinger. Okay, Lee, what do you think?
Well, for me, I've got to disagree with Brian. I love to watch the same Vafai play. I think he's a wonderful QS. He's got a great temperament, but I think Judd will be too strong for him. So I've went the same as Kelly. I've done 10-7 Judd.
10-7 Judd. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So again, it's nice to get a bit of division there again. Brian, you're standing out a bit there with Superstar with your one, but you know, don't want to stay with the crowd. I've gone with the crowd. I've gone 10-4 Trump, but we'll see. I think 10-4 is just my favourite score. Okay, do you know what? The next one, I don't know what you thought when you saw this. I like this one. I really like the look of this. Neil Robertson has got another debutant, Ashley Hugel, who again just did fantastically to get through on Judgement Day. And it looks easy on paper, this one, doesn't it? But what do people think?
I think Ashley is exactly what you just said. He played terrific at Judgement Day. He's obviously a local boy. He's going to have nothing to lose. He's going to go out and give it his all. but you know, Neil has been the player of the season. I can't see this going any other way apart from the Thunder to down under to win 10-3.
I would echo everything you've said there, Brian. I think actually it'll be a great atmosphere actually, because he's a Yorkshire lad and lives in Sheffield now. Robertson, though, you can't get a tougher draw, can you, really, for the first round on your debut? The form Robertson's been in lately. I know he isn't a great fan of the Crucible, but he usually comes out all guns blazing first couple of rounds at least. And I think it'll be a tough day at the office for Ashley. I'm going to go 10-2 to Neil.
10-2, that is a tough day at the office. Wow, okay, 10-2. So we've got a 10-3 and a 10-2. What do you guys think?
I think it's going to be even tougher day at the office. We'll see what Lee comes in, because he's only got to go one way. I'm going 10-1 to Neil. I've got a soft spot for Neil, because my late dad, the only final ever he went to was 2010 when Neil won. So, and he did say Neil was going to win it. So, yeah, I've always, and his form this season's been outstanding, and he knows when to put the foot down and no mercy. He just doesn't leave a ball on the table. So, yeah, 10-1. Good luck, mate.
Yeah. I mean, you facility bet against Neil Robertson winning this match. As good as Ashley Hugel is, but it's got to be 10-4 for me, which is quite generous considering the rest of the predictions.
Yeah, unfortunately, but hey, Ashley, you know, this is up to you to just do your best and show everybody that they really haven't given you the biggest hope that you should have. I mean, 10. I've gone 10-4 as well. If I'm Ashley, I'm putting the chairs and all this stuff to make it even tighter for Neil when he's doing his walking and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing whatever I can to try and make the Crucible even harder for him. But yeah, you've got to fancy him, aren't you? Just unbelievable this season. Okay, let's move on. So we're now on to, again, one that you know, on another day, this could look like a quarter-final. Jack Lazowski and Matthew Stevens. If anybody fancies a go at that one.
Shall I go? I think this could be an absolute stonker for a round one game. I can see it going very close. Jack has had a poor season, really, but he might just settle back and enjoy it in the longer matches at the Crucible. Hopefully he isn't feeling pressure and just goes out and plays his game. And Matthew, as we touched on earlier, he's played so well to get back to Sheffield to beat Ali Carter. I think this could go 10-8, 10-9. I'm going to go, you always get a few seeds who go down in the first round. I'm going to go 10-8 Matthew.
Okay, 10-8 Matthew. So, yeah, controversial or not? Maybe not controversial. On another day, that looks like it could be the other way around in terms of who's the favourite. What does anyone else think?
Well, I pretty much echo what Kelly said there. I think this is going to be a cracker of a game. I think they're both, going to go for everything. I think it's going to be quite an open, attacking game. I think they'll be over reasonably quickly as well. But I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go Jack Lazowski to win 10-8.
Okay, so we've got 10-8s either way so far. So, Lee, front row, Brian, what do you chaps think?
Well, for me...
Go on, Lee, sorry.
No, sorry, Brian. For me, really quick, I'm just going 10-8 Jack Lazowski, but it wouldn't surprise me if Matthew Stevens won the game. They're both brilliant players, but Lazowski 10-8 for me.
Thank you, Lee. And front row, what do you think, Brian?
I'm going decider. You never know how many more times you get a chance to come back to the Crucible. And I think he's going to grasp it. I'm going to go 10-9 Matthew Stevens.
Ooh. Well, this is great. I've put 10-8 Matthew Stevens. So actually on this one, it's a really good split of opinion, which you might expect. So that really could go either way. But we all think it's going to be close. We all think we're going to get within 2 frames of each other by the end. So that's really interesting. Okay, well, look, let's carry on. And we've got, well, 2 of the players who it's actually quite hard to predict, I think, on this one. But we've got Luca Brissell and we've got Nopon Sangakem, who, again, brilliant yesterday, and over the course of qualifying, done some real donkey work to get there. But we have 2 tie players in the draw, which is fantastic. But what do we think? Who's going to come through?
Well, I'll go first this time. I was looking for a match to go against the seed, and I've picked this one. I think they're fantastic players. I've admired Senkam's game for quite a number of years now. I think he's a brilliant player. He's a huge break maker, and he can just make break after break after break. So I've went 10-9 Senkam.
10-9 to Nopon.
I think you might be onto something there, Lee. Nopon's a tremendous player. Beat Murphy a year or 2 ago. Only lost a decider then to Mark Selby in the 2nd round. Luca has had a good season, although he's tailed off a bit as we get towards Sheffield. He's never won a match at Sheffield, which I wonder whether, as the years go on, it's a bit of a funny one that he's not done it. He's bound to win one eventually, but I'm gonna agree with Lee, and I'm gonna go 10-7 to Nopon.
Wow, not much love for Luca so far. So, Brian's.
Yeah, I'm going to throw my love in for Luca then. Come on, Luca. And I love Belgian chocolate as well. Hopefully, I'll bring some over. Yeah, I'm going Luca, and I'm going to go 10-5.
Oh, convincing. No wavering there. 10-5 to Luca. Okay, Superstar, what do we think?
Okay, well, I'm also going to throw my support in for Luca as well. It's time he won a match at the Crucible. I think the way he's played this season, as Kelly said, it has tailed off a little bit, but he has played some good stuff this season. Nopon's a great player, but I think Luca will have too much for him, and I think Luca will win 10 frames to 8.
10-8, thank you. So again, a really good split there, and for what it's worth, I've put 10-7 for Lucas. So yeah, it could really, just another fascinating tie, really could go either way. Now the next one I think is, for me, the one I'm probably most looking forward to watching, actually, if I get the chance, and that's John Higgins in Tetris and New. I just love the look of this one. I think it's just completely different styles of play, isn't it? And yeah, what do you think? I mean, God, good luck with this one.
Right. Well, I predicted obviously the first Crucible upset with Vafari against Trump, and this is, I think, the second Crucible upset. I think Higgins is going to go down 10 frames to 6, because I think any other time I would be campaigning for Higgins, but I think that the pain of the Tour Championship final is still going to be in the back of his mind. I think Tetris has played really fluently in the qualifiers, and I think he's going to outscore Higgins, especially in the second half of the match. So I think I'm going to tip him to win it 10-6.
Wow, 10-6, fantastic. I'm glad we started with that one, Brian. That's a cracker to get us going and give us something to talk about. Who's next? Who wants to jump in now on this one?
Well, I think this is such a tough one to call. You could ask me again in half an hour and I'd probably say something different. I agree with Brian about John might mentally find it a bit tough after the Tour Championship, although I do think he'll have done his damnedest to get himself mentally over it. He knows he's one of the favourites for the Crucible, despite what's happened elsewhere this season. But Tetris, how good is he to watch? And he always gets such tough draws at the Crucible. He's had Ronnie, Trump, and now this is the second time he's got Higgins. again, he's got to win a match there eventually. And I'm going to go, I'm going to go for Tetris to break his Crucible duck. I'm going to go 10-8.
Well, this isn't going how I thought it would. Okay, Lee, your front row. We'll take your picks.
Go on, Brian.
Thank you very much, Lee. Thank you. Normal service will resume. John Higgins never lets you down. Can't question his temperament or his ability. I think he's going to win 10-4.
Okay, Lee, what do you think?
Well, for me, I'm going to disagree with Superstar and Kelly on this one. I don't think John will have any hangovers at all with his final defeats or whatever. I think he's got too much experience and I think he's too classy. Although, if I was to pick another match where the unseeded player would win, it would probably be this one. I think Tetris is an incredible player. He looks so easy, but I'm going 10-8 John Higgins. And of course, maybe Tetris has got some scars. He playing John Higgins. I think he played John in his debut at the Crucible. So anyway, 10-8 John Higgins.
So again,
also, I think if John turns up with his best safety game, he really could tie Unnu up in knots, and it could be something like 10-4, 10-5. So yeah, we'll see. That's really tough to call, that one.
We'll bring you back in half an hour. You can give us a different result.
Yeah, I'll go Higgins 10-5 in half an hour.
I've taken your first answer as gospel. We're holding on to that 10-8 for Tetris. I've gone 10-9. I think it's a decider. I think the different approaches to the game. I think Higgins has got too much, but I think Tetris is going to. I personally think it's going to be one of those where one of them pulls away from the other, and then there's an amazing comeback, and we just go, okay, the class 1-3. But who knows? I mean, that's a fantastic looking one. That is. Okay, we're down to the last four now. The last four of the draw in terms of the order of how it stacks up on the kind of on how it goes throughout the tournament, not necessarily how it was drawn today. So the next one is, and again, when we talk, me and Lee, about the debutantes, or at least debut winners, Kyron comes a lot, but this chap probably is the next person who comes up a lot as well. So we're talking about Zhang Zingtong, and he's playing Jamie Clark. So what do we think there? Jamie Clark's had some cracking results in the qualifiers.
Yeah, definitely. I think Clark is going to be surprise package. I think he's going to play very, very well. But I think Zhingtong, when he's in full floor, and going to be a lot more relaxed around the table, I think Zhingtong will win fairly convincingly, 10 frames to 5.
Go on, Kelly, you're ready.
I think the Zingtong's amazing to watch. I love the way he won the UK Championship. Similar form for the German. But he seems to do not much else. If he doesn't win it, he loses very early on. And he's still, I think we forget, he's still very inexperienced in the longer matches. He's only been at the Crucible once before. And Jamie Clark, he's on the crest of a wave after qualifying. Tremendous game with Dottie the other day. What was that, Dot? Yeah. You would think Zingtong would win it if he brings his A game. This is another one. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a shock. I think this could be the big shock of the first round, maybe. And I'm going to go 10-7 Clark.
Wow, 10-7. I think you're right. It was Graham Dott, wasn't it? I think it was the one where Jamie Clark landed on the floor in his kind of relief, wasn't it?
He trebles the last blacken.
Yeah, that's the one. And Graham was out there quicker than Tetris with his breaks, wasn't he? So I think he did the gentlemanly handshake and then he was off, wasn't he? There was no.
Yeah, he didn't even stick around to shake the ref's hand.
No, he was out. That was it. I've had enough. Okay, so we've got a split already then on this one. So front row, Brian, what do you think then? Zingtong and Clark.
Clark, I think, could stay on the floor because he's going to get beat. 10-5. So
10-5, right? Okay. Okay, Lee, what do you think? What have you got there?
Yeah, well, Clark's played some great snooker. Getting to the Crucible is a great player, and for me, Zingtong, I think his safety could do with maybe tightening up a bit, you know. So I think his safety, I'll see him fall at some point of the tournament, but not in this match. So I'm going 10-7 Zingtong, sorry.
10-7, okay, quite convincing. And I've gone 10-5 as well for Zingtong. Yeah, I mean, you know, if he's on his A game, he's just far too good, isn't he? But as you say, and as Kelly says, Jamie's on the crest of a wave, and momentum may be something that contributes. And who knows? He's got the game. The next one, again, this could easily be a quarterfinal, semi-final when you look at this. Sean Murphy, Stephen Maguire. That's a toughie, isn't it?
I wonder if Steve Maguire will get booed when he comes out, considering he doesn't want the Wolves to be at Sheffield anymore. A bit like Mark Williams when he said some comments. But I think he'll beat Sean Murphy. I think it'll be a really good match. I think we're looking, I'm going to say 10-8, Stephen Maguire.
Yeah, I'm pretty close on that myself. I think this is the 19th time Maguire has played at the Crucible. You know, he knows it well, and I think I think it'll be a very close match most of the way through. But I think Maguire's going to pull away at the end, and he's going to get stronger. So I'm going to tip Maguire to beat Murphy 10-6.
Wow. Kelly, what do you think?
Oh, like you say, this could easily have been a match for the later rounds a few years ago. Murphy's not been in any form at all, so Maguire is a particularly tough first round tie for him. I think he'll. Again, I could change my mind in half an hour. I think I'm going to go with the guys though, and I'm tipping Maguire to spring a bit of an upset, and I'm going to go 10-8 Maguire.
Well, this might be a bit of a surprise. Obviously, Maguire is one of the qualifiers you just don't want to play. He's a fantastic player, but on this occasion, I went against the Scotsman. I went 10-8 Murphy.
Right, Murphy. Wow. Okay, you bucked the trend there a bit, Lee. Yeah, good stuff. I've got a 10-8 as well, and it was just really because, I mean, he seems to me like the forgotten man this season, Sean Murphy. Just as you were talking, I was thinking, what's he done this season? However, taking his Crucible from last season, I kind of think, well, the game he's got, and he does need to really buck up a bit, really, given the season he's had. I think he edges it 10-8, but who knows? All very close though. Apart from, well, Bright Superstar there, you're definitely not up for Murphy doing too much on that one, are you? No problem.
No, I think it will be close early on, but I just think Maguire's going to pull away for some reason.
Right, great.
Also, for when I write my book, I remember Maguire drinking champagne out of Michele Tab's shoes one night, one really late night in the in the dregs of Sheffield somewhere. So
Look forward to reading about it.
I'll probably have to retire myself then from watching professional snooker.
Well, as long as he doesn't do it the night before the Maguire game, then he should be all right. Okay, two left. This is an interesting looking one. So a man who has been in form, and not always in form, but certainly when in form, he's been devastating. I'm talking about Mark Allen. So we've got Mark Allen against Scott Donaldson. So who'd like to start us off with that one?
I think this one, I think Scott Donaldson, he's had a terrible season, but, you know, he's turned it round in qualifying. He's a very good player on his day, very solid, a bit of that old Scottish granite. But as you say, when Mark Allen's on form, he is really on form. And I hope he brings some of that form to Sheffield. It would be great to see him do well. I think if he does, he'll have far too much for Scott over a long distance. I'm going to go 10-5 to Mark Allen.
10-5, thank you, Kelly. No doubts about that then. So that's our first one, 10-5 for Mark. Any other views on that one?
Yeah, Mark's got a pretty poor record at the Crucible, considering the talent that he's got. But I'd really love him to stay in the tournament as long as possible, because I love going out for a curry with him afterwards normally. So win or lose, he likes to have a curry, and I've been fortunate enough to be invited along many a time, and got a soft spot for him. Hopefully, some of the Green Army might be there supporting him as well. And yeah, I see Mark winning 10-5.
10-5. So yeah, very consistent so far. 10-5 for Mark both times. Superstar or Lee, you'd like to?
Or Lee, you can kick off.
Right, well, I'm a big fan of Scott Donaldson's, and I think he's came on over the years incredibly well. You know, the qualifying, he beat Robbie McGuigan 6-0. He played really well, and in round 3 he beat Lee Hang from 5-3 down, and he was 57 behind in the decider, and he cleared up with 58, and he's still in. Then he wins 10-1 to qualify. He's won the Championship League. I'm expecting good things for him. I think he's a big-time player and can handle the pressure. But in this case, I'll know a bit to us, so I'm going 10-9 Allen. But Scott will make a good account of himself, definitely.
10-9 Allen, right. Superstar Brian, what do you think?
Okay, well, I'm going to sort of predict on this one that we're going to go. It's difficult. I think Scott will give a good account of himself, especially in the early half of the match. But I think Allen, once he gets his tail up, will be difficult to beat. And I would think Allen will win fairly comfortably in the end, 10-4.
Right, 10-4. So, okay, everybody's there for Allen then. I've gone 10-5 for Allen. I think that's a couple of people put so. And again, another player, Lee, when we've talked to different players about who's on the circuit, a really popular guy and very well respected, and could always do something big. That seems to be the thing with him.
Yeah.
The last one then. So there's a fellow I'm not sure anybody's heard of. He's just trying to make his name in the game, and hopefully he'll be okay. And he's playing against Dave Gilbert. So we're talking about Ronnie O'Sullivan and Dave Gilbert. So what do we want to say about this one?
I think this is going to be a cracker. I think it's going to be certainly one of the games of round 1. And I think it's going to be even Stevens for quite a lot of the way throughout the match. But you can't see any other winner other than O'Sullivan, 10-7.
Yeah, good shot. I've gone Ronnie 10-6. I think it could start off as a close game, but you would fancy Ronnie's ultimate class to come through in the end. On form this season and in recent times, Ronnie's looks like, titles are there for the taking. I really wouldn't be surprised if Ronnie's lifting number 7 by the end of this tournament. Yeah, so 10-6, but a good match.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for me, Michael, this could be any score. Ronnie could destroy Gilbert. Gilbert could win if Ronnie's not on it. But, I think Ronnie's maybe just focused these days on the World Championship. So I've went 10-7 to Sullivan.
Okay, front row, are you going to say anything different, or are we on the Ronnie train?
Yeah, I think the Rocket's going to beat the Tractor. And yeah, Dave, what? Mate, I'll give him 5, 10-5.
10-5, okay, unanimous.
We made 10-7 to Gilbert, but that's because he's a Ronnie hater. So. or more of a Hendry lover. You don't want him to get to 7, you see.
Correct. Could we maybe get the guys' opinions on who they think the finalists will be as well.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's something there about looking at how the draw pans out with the halves of the draw, etc., and where you're going to end up. But I've gone for 10-6 on Zoe Sullivan. It would be interesting to know who you think the finalists would be. It would also be interesting to know who you think will win and who you think will go furthest out of the qualifiers. That's not to say that the qualifier won't win, if you want to say that, but who will go furthest out of the qualifiers, who will win, and as Lee said, who's going to be in the final. So we'll do a little whip round then. Let's see what people think of that one. Who wants to start? Have you got that ready for you, Lee, at the moment?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm looking at the draws here, and I'm, some of the qualifiers, I think, well, they're not going to beat them, but I would think the guy that's got the most chance of beating the seed in round one, I would say, is maybe Matthew Stevens. So I'll say Matthew Stevens is my qualifier.
Okay, so let's do the qualifiers then. So the best qualifier, Matthew Stevens. So Kelly, who's going to go furthest out of your qualifiers?
Well, I think I went for Kyron to beat Ding 10-9, but I actually think if Ding does win that match, he could go seriously far. I think he would have all the confidence then. He knows the arena so well. He's a qualifier in all but name, really. On his day, he's still a top 8 player for me. Just looking at it here, if he beats Kyron, he would have Bingham or Liu Haoshan in the second round, which he'd have at least as good a chance of beating them if he can beat Kyron. And that would put him in the quarters, and who knows from there. So I really think he'd get past that first hurdle and he could go far. So Ding for me.
Okay, so we've got Stevens and Ding so far. So Superstar Brian, have you got some thoughts on that? Furthest qualifier?
There's some great talents there, and I think there's certainly going to be a few that gets through to the second round, but I predict that it's time for the resurgence of Ding again, and I think Ding's going to make the quarterfinals. So my choice out there would be Ding. He's obviously fallen behind a bit from some of the other emerging Chinese players, but class is permanent, as I say, and I think it's time that he came back into the forelight. So I'm going to predict Ding.
So it could be, according to what you guys have said so far, he could be about to come back and show that he's the daddy then to the new guys coming through.
Absolutely.
Ding's the daddy. Okay, front row Brian, what do you think?
Considering I said he'll get beat in the first round, it's going to sound a little bit crazy, but Jamie Jones.
Good shout.
Yeah, good to mix it up. Okay, Jamie Jones. I've gone for Jackson Page. I don't know why. I've just got a feeling he's going to shock a lot of people this time and blow a lot of reputations away. But okay, well, let's go for the finalists. What I'm going to go for is you tell me who you think the finalists are, and then we'll do another round where we'll find out who you think is going to be the winner at the end. So who's going to be in the final? Who wants to kick off for that one?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Classic, Higgins and the Rocket.
Higgins and the Rocket. Okay. All right.
They could be a semi-final. They're in the same half of the draw.
They're in the same half. Oh, I do apologise. Then I'll have to. We'll still go a classic. I'm going to Judd and Ronnie then.
Yeah, that could be the final.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, Kelly. Thank you. I'll bow to your knowledge and to having it in front of you. I'm just trying to do it from memory. So.
Okay, so we've got Judd and Ronnie then in the final as far as front row is concerned. Who wants to come in with their prediction?
Well, I also think that the Rocket is going to make the final, but he'll be up against the Welsh potting machine, Mark Williams.
Oh, which would be good for your bank account, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the Rocket v Williams then, I think, didn't we go for? Yeah. Okay, so the Rocket in both finals so far. Kelly, what do you think?
I'm going to go for Neil Robertson to finally get past his two-table hoodoo. And I think he'll make final this year. And I'm going to say he'll be playing Kyron Wilson in the final.
Wow. Okay, it's good to mix it up. So Robertson and Wilson. Okay.
Yeah, well, I like Kelly think that Robertson's due a bit of a run in the World Championship, so I think he'll be in the final, but he'll be playing Judd Trump.
Oh, I hope you're right.
Robertson and
I just think the longer format matches, you know, it suits the better players, and you know, I think they'll have a run.
Right, great. So we've got Robertson Trump, we've got Robertson Wilson, O'Sullivan Williams, and O'Sullivan Judd. I've gone, and I think this is possible, but I've gone for something a little bit surprising, perhaps. I've gone for Robertson and Mark Allen. I think it's possible.
No.
I think that could only be a semi-final.
Oh, yeah. Blimey. And I've even got it in front of me, Brian. That's how bad I am. You didn't have it in front of you. Okay, let's do that.
What the odds of two failed semis on the same night, eh?
Okay. Oh dear me. That's going to get cut.
It's like carry on sleeping.
No, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go for Robertson and I don't know. I think Selby. I think Robertson Selby final.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
I nearly went Selby from that half. I think once he gets his foot into the tournament, and if he's feeling better again, I do think he could be. You can't say he's going to be a dark horse because he's the reigning world champion, but nobody really expects that much from him this time. But I still think he could be there or thereabouts. You'd be silly to write him off.
So in which case, I'm going to now pin you down to the champions. So you said who you think the finalists are going to be. So now you need to stick your neck out and say who's going to win the World Championship. So let's start with, let's go with superstar Brian. So your finalists there, Brian. So Williams and Ronnie O'Sullivan. Who's going to win?
I think it's a 7th world crown for Ronnie. I think it, unfortunately or fortunately, however you view it, will be his last. I can't see him winning it again, but I think he's going to go out in a blaze of glory. I think he'll beat Mark Williams 18 frames to 12.
Ooh. Okay, we've got scores as well now, guys. I didn't know we were doing that. Who's next? Anybody else? Lee, what do you think?
Okay. So I'm Trump Robertson, so I'm going Robertson. And if I'm going for a score, I would go 18-16 Robertson.
Wow. Okay. Kelly, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I think it'll be Robertson's year. I've said he'll be playing Kyron. I'm going to go 18-13.
Right, fantastic. Okay. Some good scores here. So front row, Brian, what do you think? You've got Judd and Ronnie, I think, haven't you?
I don't think it'd be sticking your neck out by saying either of these winning it, really, because they'd be heavily favourites in the betting, I imagine. But I'd have to say the new King of the Crucible, 7 times champion of the world. With this little shiny. There you go. They've let me borrow it tonight.
Oh, so, brilliant. Thank you, Sheffield.
Obviously, I've got to return it, but considering I've been in more finals than them all put together, and never lost. Never won, but I've never lost. Yeah, Ronnie's 7th time, it'd be brilliant to witness. And Stephen Hendry himself says he's the best player ever to pick up a cue. But I think you are judged on how many times you win the Worlds. So I think if he wins the 7th, then there could be no doubt then.
Have you got? I'm going to pin you down for a score there as well, Brian.
Oh, well, one of them's definitely getting 18. I'll get 18-14 to the Rocket.
Wow. Okay, some
And,
great ones.
And we'll all be out by about 8 o'clock Monday night because it'll be that quick. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's some good views there. I've got Robertson Selby. I've gone for Robertson 18-15. I think he'll just pull away at the end there. I think it'll be very nip and tuck, but I think he'll pull away near the end. So we've got 3 of us have gone for Robertson and 2 for O'Sullivan. So a nice split there, really. So very exciting. So I guess really it's just a case of just wishing everyone good luck. I think what we'll do is we'll track this throughout the tournament, because obviously we've said what we think is going to happen in the first round. We've said who we think will be in the semis, and then we've gone for the finalists. There's quite a lot there. So we'll track it all the way through, and we'll put some stuff on social media so that we can keep up, and we'll mention it on the podcast on the Wednesday mornings, and see how we go. So who's going then? I mean, who's what days are you going, or do you want to talk about that at all before we wrap up?
That'll be Kelly going every day, and then the rest of us will dip in and out.
No, you're wrong there, Brian. I'm only in there for 14 days.
Oh, you like me?
Oh.
Call yourself a fan. That's brilliant. It's brilliant, Kelly.
Wow.
But yeah, traveling. I'm working till 1 o'clock tomorrow, then traveling straight up there. So yeah, really looking forward to it now. It should be wonderful tournament. I think the draw today been so exciting. There's at least 6 or 7 of them first round ties I'm so looking forward to. Yeah, let's all go and have a wonderful tournament.
Yeah, it
See
should
you
be
again.
brilliant. Yeah, it should be brilliant. So yeah, keep in touch, and if anybody can meet up or whatever. I think we said this before when we did the one in August, but obviously for the Crucible, that would be brilliant. I'm there for the evening of the 27th, which is, I think it's quarterfinals at that point. I booked that a year ago, so thankfully.
It would be nice to say hello then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'll certainly be making sure that I give you a shout, and probably have something with the logo on it so that we can spread the word. But look, just a big thanks really to everybody. So we did this in August. We didn't know what the season would hold. I think it's seen some real surprises. It's seen some players come through and start to show themselves more in the last season, and maybe a couple who we expected a little more from. So it's had everything really. Just the last word for you really. So thanks from me, and I'll kind of go around and just anything in terms of your reflections on the season, and the chance for you to say bye really. So Superstar Brian, the season we've had, we're nearly there. We've got this last one that we've all said what we think is going to happen. What's your reflections on the season before we wrap up?
Well, I think it's been a fascinating season. I've loved every minute of it. We've had some surprise first-time winners. I think 5 players we've had that have won a tournament for the first time. Great to see the likes of Joe Perry, Robert Milkins claiming their maiden victories. I was particularly impressed by the way Zingtong won the UK Championship. I thought he played outstanding. And there's been some brilliant matches, really, really high quality. I was fortunate to be at both semi-finals of the Masters, and it was just absolutely terrific stuff. Loved it. I think we've just kind of had all sorts thrown at us this season. There's obviously 1 or 2 maybe gone off the radar a little bit. Obviously, we talked about Mark Selby, and Judd hasn't been quite the dominant force that he was in the 1 or 2 seasons gone. Player of the season, without a shadow of a doubt, has been Neil Robertson. I think it's been absolutely terrific. And yeah, I do feel for John Higgins. He's had so many just close finals that it's been disappointing he hasn't been able to get over the line in one of them. But no, I think it's been terrific. Really one of the best.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Brian. And yeah, and we'll, you know, as a group, perhaps we'll do another pre-season one for next season. Kelly, what do you think then? Just a chance to sign off today.
Yeah, like Brian said, it's been a fascinating season. It's been so good to see so many new winners, as well as some of the old guard, Joe Perry and Robert Milkins, winning a tournament. Neil Robertson has looked absolutely fantastic. Ronnie's looked good. I've been impressed with him. I mean, people say Judd's had a poor season, but he's still won 2 titles. But I've liked the way the titles have been spread around this season. You've never known who's going to win, and I think it's made it even better to watch. I still wouldn't be surprised if we have a bit of a surprise winner at Sheffield, as much as the big boys usually do come out on top. Maybe we're due a first-time winner as well. So yeah, it's going to be. We've had a good season, and maybe hopefully the best is yet to come.
Brilliant, thank you, Kelly. Really well summed up. Let's move to front row, Brian. Brian, what's your chance to kind of sign off as well?
Yeah, it has been a great season. So many first-time winners. The old guard, like the class of '92, still there, and still looking like they're not going anywhere either, for the next few years at least. It's been a really enjoyable, but it always feels like they're all like the starters or the appetizers, because the main course, what it's all about, is the Worlds in Sheffield, and we ended the last Worlds having a full crowd in, and then to have 17 days of a full crowd is just going to be brilliant. You know, we've got wall-to-wall snooker on every day for 17 days between obviously Eurosport, BBC, yourselves, the websites. It's just brilliant, and it's a massive feast and a massive celebration for all of us that love the game. So just so looking forward to it, and also like to wish everybody happy Easter.
And to you too, Brian. Thank you very much. Yeah, and Lee, I'm going to give the last word to you, to our co-host. Lee, go on. Take it away.
Yeah, well, I think the fans have summed it up perfectly, actually. Lovely to see so many first-time winners, and, you know, the old guard winning tournaments. You know, they've tried for so long and eventually won tournaments. And I think we can see the sort of closing of the gap and gulf of talent on the tour, because, you know, the guys at the bottom are seriously closing the gap to the guys at the top. You know, it's amazing, the standard of snooker. When I look at the scores, you're seeing break after break, 2, 3, 4 centuries in matches. It's the standard's just through the roof. So moving on to the World Championships, I agree with Kelly. We could see a first-time winner because of the fact that the gulf and standard is closed a bit. So it's going to be a great watch and a great 17 days. It always is, whatever happens. And I'd like to wish everybody happy viewing with that.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and everyone watching and listening. Enjoy yourselves, keep in touch, and let's hope it's as good as we expected it will be. Thanks everybody.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Thank you.